Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Jaspreet Kaur and I'll be taking you through the workshop topic of Introduction of Research. Um, this is primarily important for two type of students. Okay, so one is the PhD students who are trying to make up a topic, who are looking for a topic, who are looking for that gap, number one. Number two, it will also be important for students who have just joined PhD because they have, say, done their coursework and this will be like a repetition of the coursework. Number three, any faculty, be it in any domain, okay, be it the government university, be it from the sciences background, zoology, biotechnology, or the arts background, sociology, anthropology, or from the commerce background, so marketing, human resource, economics, any background faculty that you are, it is very, very crucial for you to know what are the phases your research goes through, starting to end, number one. I will explain these phases in the context of a research paper also, so you know you would know what are the chapterizations in each of your, say, PhD thesis or research paper. So that's one thing I'll be doing. I will take you through one very crucial thing today, which is, of course, the components of research and how to fill in the gap. Okay. Now, when we are filling in the gap or deciding a topic, I will show you, I will take you on Google Scholar. We will search a particular topic, one for the science background, one for the arts background, one for the commerce background, so that we can finally know how to search a topic of my domain in a particular subject. So let me start with introduction to research. So as the word says, research, okay, searching something new. Searching it again and again, and sometimes my students ask me that what is the use of research when somebody's already searched something. What is the purpose of research? So let me explain it like this. I come from the management domain, so I read a definition of marketing from Philip Kotler's book in 2002. So it said that marketing is a process of fulfilling the needs of the customer. Okay, all the operations, etc., which come into satisfying the needs of the customer. So this was the basic definition of marketing of Kotler in the year 2002 when I did my MBA. Lately, I bought a new edition of the book and I tried to teach marketing to my students, and the definition has totally changed. The word consumer is there, the word satisfaction is there, but there's a new term, societal satisfaction. So that word society or societal has come into the definition. So this is the reason why we say it is research, reinventing the wheel. Okay. These are the 6 chapters that are generally there in any research paper, in any research proposal. So maybe a few of you might be involved in the ICSSR research call for research proposal. So in case you are giving a research proposal, these are the 6 components that you'll have to cover. In case you are writing a research paper, these are the 6 things which will be covered. And in case you are writing a PhD thesis, you've just started, these are the 6 things which will be covered. And this is generic. Their names might change a little here and there, but they are generic. So let me start with for the first stage of research, which is the introduction or problem definition, or what we call the rationale and research objectives. So all these things come into the first chapter, which is introduction. So introduction does not mean that you just describe an industry. No. It means you define a problem in the industry, you give me a rationale, you give me a justification of doing a research. For example, let me take the biotechnological field and let me take the sciences field. There is already a vaccine of Pfizer, which is running in the European countries. Why do I need another vaccine in India? Okay, I should be taking the Pfizer vaccine and using it. But there is a rationale. What is the rationale of the science students to find a new vaccine in India? Is because there are side effects of Pfizer's vaccine, and thus that COVID vaccine is not enough. Thus, there is a need, there is a rationale, there is a justification for me to work on a new vaccine like India has been doing and come out with some outcomes. Okay, so that's a rationale. Let me give you an example of a rationale in psychology. So, in psychology, I would state a case study done on a person called Phineas Gage. Okay, so this was a case study done by Dr. Harlow. Okay, so he was working on a person called Phineas Gage, and he wrote a whole case study. Dr. Harlow wrote a whole case study on Phineas Gage, who had had an accident and then he became okay, so on and so forth. Now, once this was done, okay, there was another professor by the name of Dr. Richard Griggs, who further worked on this research. Research. Something has already been searched by Dr. Harlow, and Dr. Harlow said that the brain is related to personality. This is the psychological theory he gave. And he is a physician. He's already worked with it. He's already given a psychological theory. But Dr. Richard Griggs said that no, that theory is not enough. Now, when Dr. Richard Griggs says that this theory is not enough and I am reinventing the wheel or researching this theory, you have to give a rationale. So, he actually took the papers of Dr. Harlow. He critically analyzed them. What do you mean by critical analysis? Critical analysis means what is not there in that paper. And he said that some of the accounts of his sample, which was Phineas Gage, were wrong. And thus, I take it forward from here. So every time you people are about to do a PhD or you people are about to write a paper, you have to study what has happened till date, critically analyze it, say no, there is still a gap, and I am going to fill that gap. This is the rationale or justification of doing the research. I wish we could write the rationale of doing research as getting progression from research papers or getting progression from PhD, or my rationale to do this research is completing a PhD. I wish we could write that, but we cannot write that. Neither in our thesis, nor in a research paper, nor in a research proposal by ICSSR. Okay, so this is a rationale, and based on that rationale, we have a research objective. Now that I have critically analyzed the past data, okay, past research, I have said, okay, this is missing. I say, okay, I'm going to do this. That is when I make my research objective. So let me tell you this process through a research paper. So now I will show you the introduction part in a research paper. So this is a research paper. All right, it's an ABDC listed, so it's an indexed Scopus research paper, okay, from Elsevier, which is a very, very famous publisher, and it studies customer loyalty marketing research, a comparative approach between hospitality and business journals. Okay, suppose this is the paper. I will at every point give you examples from the science, arts and commerce background, but when we are referring to a paper, because it's going to take some 10-15 minutes, so when we are referring to a paper, I'll only refer to one paper, okay, to show you all the 6 steps. I will give you example of each of the steps in an art domain, in a commerce domain, and in a science domain. So just look at this introduction. Just take a minute to list the introduction. So look at the way the author starts, and this is the way the PhD students are going to start their work, and this is the way a researcher is going to start their work. They're going to say that the hospitality marketers are really struggling. This line says that the hospitality marketers are really struggling for business because there's a lot of competition. Okay, rationale. What is the problem? When I teach the same concept to my graduation students, I go a little lower in level and explain that, there's this ad that you see very often, and it goes something like, it's an Indian, it's let me put it in Hindi, because that's why when it'll make the maximum impact. It says मैं बड़ा परेशान था. In English it means I was very very I was in a very, very problematic situation. I was very worried. Then it goes on in Hindi saying that I was becoming too fat, or I had a stunted growth, and then I had this medicine, and then I became taller, and then I became more beautiful, or then I became fairer, or whatever the content is. So all of us have seen such ads, So what they do is, in that ad, why I'm quoting this ad is because in this ad, they exaggerate the problem. See, being a little fat, being a little dark in complexion, being a little short in height is not that big a problem. It might not be a problem for someone at all. But you should look at that ad to understand the essence of a rationale, a justification, why. So that whole rationale that person who's using the product, who has either used or either he's an endorser for that ad, look at the just look at the way he explains. I was agitated. I was in a problematic situation. I was too tired of people's comments. I had problems in my family. I had problems with my friends because I was too fat. And I could not walk, and I used to get tired, and then came so and so Shauna belt, or so and so medication. So all those 5-6 lines that this person has said just before bringing in that medicine or Shauna belt is what you have to do in introduction. You have to exaggerate the problem. Okay, you have to go ahead and exaggerate the problem and say, listen, it's a very, very big problem. What's the problem? What is the problem the researcher is exaggerating over here in the introduction? He's exaggerating to say that the hospitality market is really struggling. Okay, so the hospitality market is in a problematic situation. The hospitality market is very, very agitated. Why? Because there's a lot of competition. Now let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of the same thing in biotechnology. So if in biotechnology you're coming up with a new chemical for a human being, how will you exaggerate the problem? You will say, so and so chemical is available for this problem, but the patients are not happy with it, or the doctors are not happy with it, or there are many side effects with it, or the medicine is very expensive. You are going to list the problems. You have to list the problems and say, I was agitated. So you will list those problems and then say, okay, so I feel there's a need of a new chemical test on so and so set of patients. Let me take that into an arts. Let me give you an example from arts domain. So we have a lot of psychological counseling which is being done for adolescents. Okay, so many people are working in the field of psychology and still they feel there is a gap. What is the gap? For example, you are counseling a psychological patient, you're counseling an adolescent child and he's not ready to speak. Or there are times when a psychologist keeps on counseling him for 30 days. At the end of the day, he still has suicidal tendencies. So there is a gap. So there is a problem. So what will you say? You will say that so and so is the method of psychological counseling. But the patients are still having problems. So I feel I should come up with a new therapy for an adolescent child, and that is why I have started this research. Let me give you another example. Let me go to the English domain. Okay, I remember one of my FTPs of faculty came to me and she said, I want to study the meaning of the word sustainability. and I want to study the meaning of the word sustainability over a period of time. There was another lady who said that I want to study this particular term. Okay, she gave me a term in English and she said I want to study it from the past history and actually what this term means to different people. I want to write a paper on that. But then for writing a paper, English literature paper on that, you will have to give me a problem. You will have to tell me that all those people who have already defined this term have not done it right. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying negative evaluation, but you have to say that even after the evaluation of so and so people with this English term, it is still not clearly defined. It is still not clearly understood, and I am going to go forward and going to contribute to it. So I've given you 3-4 examples in different domains where you are supposed to define a rationale. Research does not happen just because for the heck of it, or you want to do it, or you want to publish papers, or you want to do a PhD. No. Research happens when there is a rationale for it to happen. And mind you, if any of you, and there are my PhD students who want to work on, they have a very, we all have a very general and broad idea of what we want to do. So all of us know that we want to do something in social media. All of us know, okay, we want to do something with the legal law section, so and so, so and so. We have an idea, okay, we want to do something with the definition of this word in English. That is the broad idea we have. So if you have that broad idea, please go ahead, see the work that has been done and find out a problem. There is no research, there is no domain where you can say, okay, all research has been done in this domain. There is no new problem, there is no new scope of research. If you say that, you probably don't know your domain at all. So if you are in a domain, so there are times when my PhD students come and say, I want to work on social media. I say, okay, go and see what research has happened in social media. It takes a lot of reading. This one chapter is going to take somewhere around a reading of 200 papers at least. So if a PhD scholar comes to me and says, ma'am, I want to do something in social media. First of all, I tell him, what in social media? Ma'am, in social media, I want to work on increasing likes of websites of brands. I say, okay, go and read papers on it. Go and read at least 200 papers on social media, on Facebooks, on Instagrams, and how to increase the like in those domains. I'll tell her to go and read at least 200 papers. And then when she reads 200 papers, lately I got a message where a researcher has written to me. She said, ma'am, I'm in my PhD. I want to write a paper. I have a topic. I have 95 papers on my topic. Now tell me what to do. So now what you have to do is read those papers and get the rationale. Get the rationale. There is going to be something that is not there in those 75 papers, and it's not very difficult to find. It will be written in those 75 papers itself. Where will you find it? You will either find it in the last paragraph of introduction, or you will find it in the last chapter which says scope of future research. These are the two places where you will get new topics, where there is a rationale, where there is a justification of doing report, where there is a gap which the past research has not covered. So in the introduction part, I start with the problem. Okay, I am very agitated. I have a problematic situation. I cannot live life. I am suffocated. X, Y, Z, Z, Z with the topic. Okay, and then you say, okay, I'm coming up with this research. So this whole paragraph goes around the what I told you, that it's a competitive market. Hospitality marketers are finding it difficult to adjust, so on and so forth. Further, we further go look at this paragraph. So these all paragraphs will be the past research. As I said, you will not be able to defend your rationale till the time you don't have the past research. So these are those 95 papers which the scholar has written to me, that I have some 95 papers. So the first thing is list down all that is written in these 95 papers. So this is all the listing. This is all the listing. Because it's a research paper, the listing will be barely 1000 to 200 words. But if it is a PhD report, it's going to be it's going to be larger. Okay, once you have listed it, so what have you done? In the first paragraph, you have listed the problem. Hospitality marketers are finding it difficult to survive because there's a lot of competition. In paragraphs 2 and 3 and till here probably, you have told me what the past research has done, those 95 papers or 200 papers have done. And finally, over here, you will write that there is a gap. When you write there's a gap, you will quote people who say there's a gap. You will write the purpose of the study, and you will start publishing. You will say that, okay, this is my area. Okay, I'm doing a comparative study. This study area has not been done ever in research, in the past research. So this paragraph tells you what the author is about to do. Okay, and similar method is when you are making your PhD thesis or you are writing your research paper. So this is about introduction and problem definition. There are times, when people like us, we want to work on a particular technique. For example, if I want to write a paper on, say, systematic literature review. What is systematic literature review? In systematic literature review, it's a basic review paper. All of you who have just started research can do that. So in a systematic literature review paper or what we call as a literature review paper, you don't have to apply quantitative techniques, you don't have to apply qualitative techniques, you don't have to apply softwares. You can just list the research done in the past 200 years. But even while writing a review paper, which is suggested for you people who are new to research, you have to go back and analyze which are the topics on which a systematic literature review paper can be written and which are the topics on which it cannot be written. And how do you see that? Let me show it to you. So I'll just show you. I'm doing this through Google Scholar. You can do it with the help of, if you have a Scopus or a Web of Science or a ProQuest, or in science there is a Scilite. Okay, so Cochrane is one database for science people. Scilite is for Scopus, Web of Science. These are common to all domains, arts, commerce and science, so you can use that. So for example, I want to do a systematic literature review. This is my technique. Okay, so slowly and gradually when you finish this course, you'll be knowing about the techniques of research. So I specialize in systematic literature review, and I want to write a paper on systematic literature review on the impact of religion on purchase intention. So I will check whether there is a paper already or not. And this that I'm telling you about, making the topic, okay, you'll have to write it in introduction also. This is something which everybody has to do before writing a paper. So you better check that something in your topic has not been done already. So if I say systematic review paper on religion impacts purchase intention, suppose I say this. Okay, now I see there is a paper of influence of religion on sustainable consumption. Okay, there is a paper on factors affecting halal purchase intention where religion is a part of it. But a systematic literature review paper only on religion and the purchase intention of a normal commodity, say, which is not sustainable, such a paper I cannot see as of now. So there is a gap, and I can start this topic for my domain. My domain is sustainability management. So I can start writing a systematic literature review paper on religion and its impact on purchase intention. I can start it. Okay, so this is how you I'm just telling you how to choose the part. So let me come to introduction. So in introduction, generally, this is the phase of a researcher. We want a topic, we want a rationale, and we want a gap. And many a time, a PhD scholar walks to the PhD guide, and the guide and narrates his or her topic. But because we are people who are experienced in our domain, we send you back, and we say, okay, search more. Okay, and I mean, the worst part a researcher could do is just look around and see, okay, social media is doing very well. Okay, let me write a paper on social media. Or suddenly see artificial intelligence is doing well. Okay, let me write a paper on artificial intelligence. I don't think you need to do that. Okay, of course, you need to find out something latest, but then there has to be a gap also. So, if you say I'm writing a paper on artificial intelligence, if you say I'm writing a paper on gamification, you have to give a rationale for the same. And the rationale cannot be that it's a new field, so I think it will be publishable, or it's a new field, so I think I should do a PhD on it. That's not a rationale. You will have to see past research and find faults or limitations of the past research, and then say, I'm going to take up this topic. So, this is what a rationale is. A rationale or a problem statement gives an explanation about the issue that is being addressed by the project. Okay, it is a brief analysis or summary of problems. I repeat, problems. So, I was agitated, I was really depressed, there was no social life, I was very fat, I could not walk, I could not breathe while running. XYZ, problems. You have to do the same to your domain of research. The gap also considered the missing piece in literature review is the area that has not yet been explored. And mind you, there are many areas which have not been explored. Please read around. When you read around, you'll come to know, okay, this is an area which is not explored. Sometimes, you go by your feeling. You say, okay, this is one area which I think is new. So in my domain of marketing, neuro marketing is something new. I know it's new. I know a lot of research hasn't been done on it. Doesn't matter. But I have to go back and study papers. Despite the fact that I'll not get 200 papers on neuromarketing, I know it's a new area. I can go by my instinct. But whatever papers I get, 80 papers, 50 papers, say 20 papers, I will have to show that there is something missing in these 20 to 50 papers. And that is what I'm taking as a topic for my research. Okay. Okay. Also, one more thing I would like to add. So sometimes, the gap could be a location of a place also. So, for example, there's a COVID vaccine trial which has been done by Pfizer in the European countries. There is our own Indian company trial which is being done in India, but maybe a trial hasn't been done in Kenya. So if it hasn't been done, it is a very, very huge area for biotechnology students, for science students, for medical students. Further, there might be a particular type of product which works in India, okay, but maybe it does not work abroad. All right, so if it does not work abroad, and there is somebody who's done a research on a particular product in India, but the same product was never used abroad, so I have not done a research abroad, this itself is a rationale. This itself is a gap, and it can be taken as a very fruitful topic of research. Okay, so how do you identify a gap? How do you identify that what is to be done and what is not to be done? First thing is motivation. So sometimes, you can go by your instinct, but of course, see, even if you go by your motivation or even if you go by your instinct, end of the day, what you have to do is you have to study all the past research which has happened. So I'll give you an example of one research that I did. I did a research on Indians, baby boomer generations, okay, 60 to 65-year-old, and I was wanting to know their sustainability initiatives and the motivation behind their sustainability initiatives. I'm talking of our forefathers who are very, very sustainable, okay, and they have bigger houses than us. So this is my interest area and this is my motivation of work. So sometimes you can decide your topic on the basis of your motivation. If you want to get an exact topic, please refer to A grade journals. So when I say A grade, I mean there are lists of journals, indexed journals. These are the good journals, and these are where you should be submitting your papers. And if your paper is not getting published in these journals, it should not be considered as a publication overall, because these are quality journals, indexed journals. The lists are an ABDC list, which has been followed by the Australian universities, and also over here in the management domain. We look at the ABDC list. There's another list by the name of an ABS list. This is followed in European sector, European universities. Again, it is also followed in India. There's a Scopus list, which is a wide list. A Scopus list has science domain papers, arts domain papers, commerce domain papers, and that is a list which is huge. You know, it has more papers than the ABDC and ABS. So watch out. If you want to find out the gap, please read papers from your domain only from these lists. There's another list of a UGC care list for UGC recognized universities in India. You could refer to that, but I think if a paper is Scopus, it will overlap in the UGC list also. So if you get the Scopus list and you study the papers of your particular domain in the list, I think most of the work is done. Okay, find a specific term. So for all those of you who feel I'm going to do something in digital marketing, something in social media, something in biotechnology, something in artificial intelligence, something in economics, something in foreign direct investment, okay, please become specific. Read papers and become specific. Okay, if you go to your guide or if you go to an editor and say I've done something in social media, I mean, you know, people are not even going to guide you. They want something definite. Okay, look at when you're studying papers and to find the gap. Now this is all a process of finding gaps. So when you're looking at papers, look at the most cited papers. Do not go for conference proceedings. Do not go for dissertations, because they are students' work. They might not be authentic. Conference papers also might not be authentic. Papers in predatory journals, okay, journals which make you pay and then they publish papers. Don't go for such journals. Any paper from there is absolutely useless. Okay, and another way of finding out the gap is you can go to when you get some 20-50 papers from your domain, go and study the scope of future studies. Now, one more thing. If you go to a paper which has been published in the year 2010 and study the scope of future studies, the scope must have been completed in these 10 years. So, while making this attempt, please only and only refer to the past 5 years paper. Anything which is older than 5 years in a dynamic domain like yours and mine must have been redundant. Do not look at it. Do not work on it. Okay, we still quote the Kotler. Okay, so we still quote the Kotler. Fine, we still quote people like Askin. But we still put citations of 1991 or 2002 for Kotler. That's okay. That's okay. One odd line where you say, okay, from where did this concept start? Agreed. After that, all study that you do from past literature, even when you say I'm studying the past literature, I don't want you to study the past 20 years. What I want you is, what the editor wants is, or what the guide wants is that you study the past 5 years. Just give me what is latest, and from among the latest, tell me what is missing, and that becomes your gap or rationale. I hope the gap part or the rational part is clear.